everybody, I am here with Paul Boross, who is otherwise known as the legendary Pitch Doctor. Am I right?
You are indeed.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Paul.
Well, essentially, I'm a psychologist, but I used to be in television and I used to be on stage as well. So I had a band which your grandparents will remember. We were #1 in Australia for 6 weeks. I had a band called Morris Minor and the Majors. Everybody desperately Googling that. And then I used to do a double act with my best friend Ainsley Harriott, who is a chef. So I spent years doing that. But then I went back to psychology. And what I discovered that actually psychology wasn't really helping anybody pitch. So I got that area really and just grabbed it. And what I do with people is not just like normal actors and people do, that whole thing of just stand this way, look that way. It's what's going on in your head. It's how to read what's going on in the room. And that's all psychology. And it's all about actually getting yourself into the perfect state in order to receive the message and deliver the message that is perfect for every pitch.
Wow, that's incredible. So what made you get into this? Like why pitching?
Well, actually, I've worked in television for so many years, and actually, if you go around television, you realise that the standard of pitching, unfortunately, is not great. And the same old people get pushed out to do the pitches. And I thought that actually what it needed people to understand more what it takes to be a great pitcher. And so as a psychologist, what I did is I looked at the best pitchers in the world. And these were people from, I worked with Sir Richard Branson, I worked with lots of the top television people, I worked with a lot of comedy talent, film talent. And I noticed that they all had similarities. They all connected. I worked with politicians, and I saw that the ones who really seriously connected were the ones who actually ultimately got the deal done. And so really all pitching is about a connection. It's about connecting to every different audience. And as you go around the world, and I go around the world a lot and talk about this, people are essentially the same. They all meet on the same level. And they all get rapport on the same level. And so once you can teach people to understand that that's what's important in pitching, then you can take it to the next level.
Excellent. Wow. Okay, so let's, I have a big question for you. How many MIPs have you been to?
I think I'm almost embarrassed to say that MIP and MIPCOMs I've been to 53.
Wow.
Ever since I was 7. Yeah.
So you must be a platinum member then.
I am a platinum member.
Wow,
yes,
that's impressive.
That's how we get to be in this VIP club.
Yes.
Because the platinum members are obviously allowed to come here.
Well, now the next question is: do you remember your very first MIP?
Oh, do I ever? Honestly, my first MIP, I felt like a tiny speck in the world of international television. It was very daunting because suddenly you're in a place with 12,000 people who all seem to know where they're going and all seem to know everybody else. And you're standing there going, I don't know anyone. Actually, I knew one person, he went home after the first day. And so one of the most important things at MIP is to network and get to know people. It's to be open enough to actually just chat to anybody. How did we meet? We were sat outside MIP News. And guess what? Your smile was the welcome I needed. But it was. And people underestimate what a smile brings. But a smile shows confidence, but it also is a welcoming, opening up and going, I'm ready to meet people. Some people come to MIP and they've got that sort of like haunted look and where am I going to go? And guess what? They're surprised when nobody comes up to them. The first thing you should pack when you come to MIP is your smile. And if you can pack one like this, like Brooke's smile, your quid's in.
Well, so your very first MIP, were you buying or selling, or were you doing the pitch doctoring back then?
No, when I first ever came here, I had a music production company, so I used to do a lot of music for mainly television, but television, radio, media. So this was the place to be, because this was where everybody who was making television was. And so my first real introduction to it was through just trying to find out who was making new shows, what was in the mix, but most important of all, just getting to know people. Because the essential truth from a psychologist's point of view is people buy from people they like and they trust. How do you get to like and trust people? You need to look in their eyes. And guess what? Once I started coming down here and you get to know more people, they actually go, actually, let's give Paul a go on that. You know, let him try that. And by the way, some people didn't even know if I was a brilliant composer, or me and my partner were brilliant composers, or just average. But because we got on down here, we got a chance to pitch.
Yeah.
And that is the joy of MIP, is that if you're here, you are one of the select few, and you are like in a band of brothers. So what happens is people accept you. And once you get accepted in this relatively small world, you know, one person will lead you to meet another person, to lead you to another person. And that's why I think MIP is vital to anybody with dreams of getting on in show business or in television.
All right, excellent. Now, the next question is, if you have a couple of golden nuggets you could pass on of information for first-timers, just a few, you've already said so many, but to, I suppose, sum it up, just your first-timers, quick, this is my information for you if you have never been before.
Okay, well, one silly thing, first of all, is wear comfortable shoes, because every meeting you are going to be at, you're thinking is round the corner, but actually you'll end up walking half a mile just to get to it. So one of the things that people don't do is they're not quite so comfortable shoes.
They're not too bad, actually.
They're not too bad. I've seen a lot worse. Yeah, they're very attractive, but you know, that practicality, and people may laugh. The other thing is, I would say, don't put in too many meetings. Now, this is a weird one, because usually people here are on half-hour meetings. But remember, it will take you 10 minutes to get from one meeting to the next. So that means 20 minutes. Probably the person in front of you is overrunning. So you don't have much time. I think allow time between, because if a meeting's going really well, guess what? You want to stay there. This could be the meeting that actually makes your career. And if you're going, oh my gosh, I'd love to stay and talk to you, but I've got to go. Also, if you allow time between meetings, sometimes the best meetings you will ever have are the person you stand next to in the coffee queue. And probably my final tip is talk to everyone, because that person you stand next to in the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning in La Chunga could be the person who you've always wanted to get to know, or could be the conduit to the person that you've always wanted to know. And sometimes I've had some of my best meetings at 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody's a little bit pie-eyed, but guess what? They're open, they're friendly, and they're ready to listen. So really come to MIP with your smile and an openness.
The last one is a little bit of a wild card for you. Now, can you think of anything out of all the times that you've been to MIPTV and MIPCOM, any interesting story or fun fact or a wild adventure that you went on at some point during MIP?
Hold on. My family might be watching this.
Not too wild.
Not too wild. Yeah, sometimes you will end up, we ended up going back to, there was these exotic dancers, shall we just say, and we made friends with their bouncer. Because as a psychologist, I always look at what's going on in a room. And actually, there was a guy who was looking very carefully and protecting these exotic dancers. And so I made friends with him very early as a psychologist, and I got to know him, and he said, we're having a party back at the room, would you like to come? And all I can say is, it was a lovely memory. I'll leave the rest to your imagination.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, Paul. And just so that you know, available on Amazon, am I right? The Pitch Doctor.